Hi, my name is Nancy Sjuts with Peace Coaching Worldwide. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about what I'm calling a double helix. So, if you know anything about genetics, you know a double helix of DNA is basically two strands that are woven around each other. And this is the way I see, or the picture that I get in my head when I think about two very primal wounds that we have that basically play off of each other, kind of like a double helix. And those two wounds, I think, are universal for everyone on the planet. Everybody has them at least a little bit, and sometimes people have them a lot bit. And those two wounds are shame and abandonment. And so, shame I would describe as I'm not good enough. And so, there's a difference, actually, I delineate between shame and guilt. And so, shame is I am a bad person, and guilt is I did something that I'm not necessarily proud of. And so there's a big delineation. Guilt actually is a good thing because it lets you know when you've done something that's hurt someone else. And that's a good thing. We have a term for people who have absolutely zero guilt, and that's sociopath. They don't have anything inside of them stopping them saying this is a bad thing to do to another human being. And so guilt is actually a good thing. It lets us know when we're doing something outside of our beliefs and our morals and our values. And so shame, on the other hand, is not a productive process. It is the belief that I, as a human being, and myself in my totality, is actually not good enough or not worthy of being loved. And so, and that simply isn't true because we know, for example, life in and of itself has inherent value. If you and I were to walk down the street in a busy city and we could hear something rustling in the dumpster nearby, and we went over to the dumpster and looked in the bottom and saw indeed there was an infant there, I'm pretty sure one and or both of us would be pretty willing to even get into that nasty, filthy garbage in order to get that baby out of there. Why? Because babies have inherent value. Human beings have inherent value. And that is true about you too. And so that shame wound of not being good enough, I think, is universal because when we're little and we're processing everything in either yes or no, which is very telling of what I would call lizard brain or reptilian brain, that part of our brain that's functioning when we're little, that part thinks of everything in terms of black or white, yes or no, off or on. And so, what conclusions can we draw when we're a little kid? And people keep giving us negative reinforcement for whether we're doing something wrong, or sometimes even they'll give us negative reinforcement even when we're not doing anything wrong, as far as we can tell. For example, no, don't touch that. That's hot. Well, we don't know what hot is, and we don't know why us touching this surface is somehow getting our hand smacked. And so, no, don't ride your bicycle on that beautiful flat piece of asphalt in front of the house. Why not? It's great for riding bike. Can't you see it's nice and flat? And our parents will tell us, no, that's dangerous. Don't do that. And so we get negative reinforcement all the time based on our behaviors. And when we're little, we then equate our lovability or our good enoughness with our actions and our behaviors. And so what we don't know is that we forget about that when we're little and we continue to take those beliefs into our adult lives. And now we equate my lovability depends on how well or how few negative reinforcers you might give me for my behavior. You might have your spouse say, you know what, that thing that you did, I don't like that. That was kind of a jerky thing to do. And you take that as, well, then that means that my spouse doesn't love me. And we do this without even knowing it. We don't even think about it. And so we don't even realize that this is what we believe and this is how we process information. And that becomes a big problem. And so a lot of times, particularly in marriages or in long-term relationships, we'll hear things like, do you even love me anymore? And so when you hear that question, do you love me? Do you even love me anymore? That's the first place that I check to see, is this person processing that their partner's feedback to them through a shame filter, and pretty much can guarantee that that's exactly what's going on. And so we can actually start to change how we think about that and the way we process that information. and learn to not take our partner's ouch or their feedback so brutally, painfully, and so personally. And that starts to help our heart not hurt so much when we're in relationship with our partner. So that's one strand of the DNA, the double helix. And the other strand is abandonment. And so abandonment is a reactivity to any real or perceived distancing. Or the way that I describe it in session would be something like, no one wants to spend time with me, or no one has time for me. And so that is also a very deep primal wound that we have when we're little kids. And so it will form very quickly with something as simple as when you hear a child say, I want my daddy. Well, I'm sorry, you can't have daddy right now. Daddy's at work. I don't care. I want my daddy. Where's my daddy? Well, daddy has to go to work because he needs to make money so that we can have a place to live, and he'll be home at 5 o'clock. And I don't care. I want my daddy. Well, when we're little kids and we don't understand all of the workings of the world, and all we know is that we want what we want, when we want it, how we want it. When we want our daddy and our daddy isn't there, we have this belief inside of us that says, my daddy doesn't want to spend time with me. Now, that may or may not be true or may not be possible, but nevertheless, that's the wound that forms, and that's an abandonment wound. And so that's the other strand of the double helix. And those two wounds play with each other like this. First, I might have a shame message. You're not good enough. Well, then where does my mind take that? Well, if you think that I'm not good enough, then I'm going to die alone. That's a problem, because I need my tribe. I need connection. I need closeness with other people in order to survive. And so that conclusion that I draw from the world telling me that I'm not good enough, that's a survival level problem. And so if I'm not good enough, then no one wants to spend time with me, and I'm going to die alone. And that, to that extreme, is how extreme lizard brain takes it every time we hear that. On the other hand, people might be not spending time with me, and I might feel a great deal of loneliness. Then the other side of it kicks in, and how do I internalize that into the center of the Tootsie Pop in my heart? Well, people aren't wanting to spend time with me, clearly, because I'm not good enough. And so there's how those two wounds interplay with each other. What do I hear from the world in terms of feedback, and how do I internalize that feedback into the center of the Tootsie Pop? And so that double helix of wounds, I think, is present in all of us, and we can learn how to escape that. We can learn how to teach ourselves a different story to tell ourselves that has more truth to it, and that is more mature. And we do this in coaching through a process like Jenny Brown would say in her book, and it's actually the title of her book, Growing Yourself Up. And so we can grow ourselves up on an internal level and experience far less pain from the feedback that we're getting from the world that cannot be at our beck and call 24/7, 365. And so just a little food for thought for today. So think about that double helix of wounds and how they might interact inside of you. And if you want some help working through that, please do check our website below and subscribe to our channel, and check out some more videos that we'll be posting in the near future. And we're happy to have you. Thanks for stopping by.